Hello, this is the Werewolf channel. My name's Louis, I'm the moderator. If you subscribe to the channel and like and comment and all those things, you are in with a chance to win a PlayStation 5. I'm going to take another draw on February the 16th. We already gave one away to Jeff Daniels in October, who seemed to be very happy with it. So please like and subscribe, and you could win a PlayStation 5. Now, let's carry on with stories of Will, our real werewolf. So as you probably know, I have escaped Her Majesty's pleasure, and I'm currently on the run, as we say, in the criminal and werewolf fraternity. I had been locked away for a while, so it was now time to take that time back in a myriad of fun ways and enjoy the rest of the night on the streets of the great city of Londinium. Yes! I was a werewolf in London. How cliche is that? The beauty of this place is its myriad of little alleyways and bolt holes. It's not like an American planned place. There are dark spots and parks everywhere. It's kind of sort of designed for murder and mugging and loads of lovely cover. I'd already dispatched a couple of random drunks that had been on their long-winded way home from the sites of their inebriation, kebab in hand. I mean, it was poor sport, to be honest, and nothing to tell you about. It was just, they were there and then they weren't, well, they were, but they weren't them anymore. They kind of resembled their kebabs. Now, the bus crash. That was lots of fun, though. I had waited on the pavement of a western way for a vehicle of some size to come along. At first, I just wanted to, hit something large and vanny, but when the bus presented itself, it was too much fun not to take. The bus was packed with people, and I needed to commit some atrocities to, feel good about myself. What can I say? Now, I waited for the bus to go past, and then I started to chase it along this pavement like a pitiful dog. As I drew up alongside it, running, I could now see the masked passengers start to take notice and point and entice others to come and see me running there. Phones were pointed, and the panic was seen on their faces, so it had to be this moment. As the bus tried to take a corner at the next turn, I barreled into the side of the double-decker, crashing through the windows and the metal bodywork of its left-hand side. As I tore into it, the bus driver lost control of the vehicle and ploughed into the traffic on the other side of the road. Bonus! Wiping out a Fiesta and a Corsa quite easily. They sprayed debris as they spun and somersaulted away. I mean, those fuckers inside were probably, definitely dead, I guess. I do have to say, though, my favourite impact was the one that flipped a delivery scooter and the driver through the barriers and into Boots, the chemist's. He landed in the first aid section. That gave me an M and a smile, Landed in the first aid section. Like they like. People on the pavement now scattered and panicked, and life was getting better. Once on the bus, I tore up the centre of the lower deck, whipping left and right with tooth and claw, killing and maiming whatever I touched. The red flashing lights of wrath were in my brain. It was fun. In the back of my mind, Fenrir, my werewolf soul, was ecstatic as we tore and wrenched people from seats. I lifted a little Asian guy from his seat, bit his head off and spat at what I assumed was his little Asian wife. Might not have been, though, but it could have been. Who cares? Whoever or whatever she was, she now sat screaming with a man's head upside down on her lap. A gift she would never forget, and the subject of many years of therapy, methinks. Now the The bus smashed through one more car and then into a wall on the side of the road at the side of a culvert, and came into a sudden stop. This threw the passengers into more of a flap as they rebounded off hard metal items, floors, ceilings, and each other like shit, like shit screaming rubber balls, really. I stopped my killing and stood in the walkway and looked at the cowering humans. These are the moments you realise you are so much more than them. I know that sounds arrogant, but guess what? I am better than you. I am. There is no equality or equanimity here. I am a werewolf. You are not. Sorry. No one moved, but the moaning, shouting and crying could be heard from the upper deck. A man came banging down the stairs, filled with expletives and anger. He turned and stepped off the bottom step, filled with righteous indignation. His righteous indignation then suddenly melted to utter horror. His jaw opened and fell as he looked at me, and then his look sort of turned into him grappling with the reality of the situation. To the man's credit, he smiled, raising a hand as if in greeting, and then turned and made his way back up the stairs, a little more gently. It would have been a perfect Scream movie comedic moment if he'd been whistling as he went. Sirens now could be heard in all the outside chaos. I mean, the chaos had kind of calmed down in the post-madness hush and the pre-response quiet. The new madness would soon start at the post-orgasmic appearance of the authorities. I had created a great piece of artwork. I mean, part of being a great artist is to know when to stop working on a piece. It was time to let this work do its own thing. I transformed back into the wolf and made my way from the bus. This werewolf was exiting stage right, but letting the play continue without him. I was going to make those fucking papers. I wander the back streets as a wolf, a giant of a beast, looking for my next bit of fun. As I go, I'm seen by people in their cars, but they dismiss my size and just see me as a big canine, a big dog. Although the night is rent and you can just hear the barking and howls of those fucking domesticated little chumps, making it known they know that I'm out there. Those little fuckers should be glad to be indoors right now. They wouldn't be shouting if they were out here with me at this moment in time. I then smell them. A basement flat stands out as I make my way along the road. The smell of two young women come to me, but they smell, special. The flavours are odd, old, foreign, and somewhat decadent. I'm going to huff and puff and blow this door down. I find the unremarkable blue door and wait just a moment, fading into the darkness of the stairwell down to their little flat. I need to be in on them before they have time to react to managing an uncomfortable phone call. That could ruin my plans, so that I have to speed up my evening's proposed artwork. I rush at the door in my werewolf form and smash it into the hole with my shoulder. I take a deep inhalation in order to find where the delightful smell emanates from. I run and burst through the bedroom door, coming to a scrambling halt on the fake wood floor of their floor. Two women look at me over the top of a red duvet set and blink the sleep from their eyes. They are delicious to behold, and this evening just became a lot more fun. One woman is black, and the other looks somewhat Turkish to me, but I may be clinging to stereotypes at this moment in time. She did actually smell like Turkish delight. Maybe she wasn't Turkish then, eh? Maybe she'd just eaten some Turkish delight. Am I racist? No, definitely not. I hate all humans equally. The two women look at me in disbelief, not knowing whether they are still asleep and dreaming of being stared at by a creature of nightmares standing at the end of the bed. They've not even screamed yet, and I don't think they will, as they have chosen the freeze response out of the 3 Fs of response and seem petrified while they look at me. When they look at me, they then look at each other, and then they scream. It was bliss. But, I couldn't let them scream, so I leapt. And can you imagine the wet tearing and stuff, and then the screams stopping? Having ripped them apart, I left after having a nice cup of tea and a couple of jammy dodgers. I do like middle-class couples' collections of tea, and the ginger and honey, I think it's a Nuka honey tea, was just the thing to set up a warm-bellied werewolf for the night. I left the house as a naked male. That was daft, but then I suddenly remembered and changed myself back to my black wolf to wander into the icy night. Getting to kill the couple's cat as it accidentally bolted from the cat flap and straight into my mouth was a super bonus. I fucking hate cats. I never chew. I grab, crunch and spit. I never swallow. I'm gentlemanly like that. It was now late and I decided to find my next fun adventure of the night. I sniffed around, but at this time of night, away from the thoroughfares of the city, there are only a few people about, so I had to do a little searching to find my next fun. Perfect. A London black cab with a London black cabbie sat reading his paper. The tantalising idea of managing to get into the cab as a werewolf without him noticing became a great fun idea for me. He was engrossed in his paper, so I thought I might get in and get away with it. I'd not really thought about the fact that I was now a lot too big to get into the cab easily. I bowed my head and forced my way within the cab. The suspension of the black beast was creaking and complaining about my entry, and the man in the front just grumbled, not looking up from his paper. I could hear what he was saying with my hearing, though. He was saying stuff, he was complaining to himself about how the youngsters were getting so fat now that he would need to get a fucking JCB to carry on his job soon. I saw the reflection of the paper in the rearview mirror at the front of his car. The headline read, "Beast of Belmarsh escapes. It must be fresh off the press." "All sorts out tonight, governor," he said, reflecting on the paper. "Another fucking nutter out there, mate. He killed 20 people in his escape from maximum security." That annoyed me a bit. It was much higher body count. I suppose I'd kind of blended some of those bodies that had gotten in the way, so it could be a while until they're all identified from, well, the bits. "You's best get yourself in and safe, mate," the cabbie went on. He slowly then folded his paper away and placed it neatly on the seat next to him. He sniffed, took off his glasses and pasted them carefully on his spec box. He was an older gent, and I could see he was fastidious in the upkeep of himself and the cab. The cab was beautifully neat and smelled fresh. He then asked, "Where to, Gav?" as he raised his eyes to the mirror, where he observed me. The entirety of the back of his cab was full of a black shadow, and he went quiet. Gav?" he questioned as he pivoted on his seat to face me on the back of the cab. I smiled, my carnassial and fang-filled maw, the light reflecting off my teeth, and then opened my eyes that became amber pits of fire. He froze in position, staring at what was going on what was going on was a short and brutal future. "What the f—" He did not manage to finish his sentence before I had him dragged in the back of the cab and ripped and tore him apart. The struggle was short, and the blood flow was large. When I stepped from the cab, the blood pooled in the gutter and dribbled from the door. I then went on my merry way. As I trotted along, I could hear her singing. I followed the voice. It was magnetic and stood out from the early morning traffic and commuters. I followed the voice. It compelled me to see who could create this beautiful thing. I wandered the back ways and alleyways in wolf form. I ignored the detritus that shuffled its way into the hidey holes in which they spent the night. I was not interested in the refuse that was the unwanted people of the streets. Their misery was fun enough, and the fear generated as I passed made me smile. They cared not if they lived or died, so what was the point? The voice continued, a song I did not recognise, but wow. The sun was rising, and the dawn chorus of birdies, which you humans think is beautiful, was going on. As an animal, I recognise the reality of what is going on. The bird chirrup was translated as, well, one of them was, "Fuck off, this spot is mine. Tweety tweet tweet, fuck off, this spot is mine." The next whistling trill from another bird could be translated to, "Come on if you think you're hard enough. Tweet, 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 tweety, tweety, tweet." The last tribbled tune you could hear in reality was, "I'm horny, anyone want to fuck?" Very beautiful when you think of it that way. Her song was beautiful, but ended, and I thought it was over and felt cheated. But then she started again, and I found the song's garden, the open window, and the young woman singing. I could not see her, but that voice was mellifluous, a siren song in the dawn. "I'll seek you out, flay you alive. One more word and you won't survive. And I'm not scared of your stolen power. I see right through you any hour." Now, I can't do it justice, but wow. I cleared the back wall and the gate into the lawn ground. I sat now in the garden centre listening to this jaw-dropping song. "I won't soothe your pain. I won't ease your strain. You'll be waiting in vain. I got nothing for you to gain." The beast in me was tamed for the moment. Both I and Fen was silent and listening. I even embarrassingly noticed I had my head cocked in the manner of a listening dog. "I'm taking it slow, feeding my flame, shuffling the cards of your game, and just in time, in the right place, suddenly I will play my ace. this song was all, the lyrics and the melody were perfect. I could not have left if I'd wanted to. I needed to hear more and the rest. I won't soothe your pain, I won't ease your strain. You'll be waiting in vain. I've got nothing for you to gain. It ended, and I felt robbed for a moment of its beauty. Then I saw her at the open window. She had obviously decided to close the window, maybe to leave the house for the day or something. Our eyes met, and she stood some 25 feet up in the air like some Disney princess. Well, like a Disney princess with tousled hair and a super dry hoodie, but she looked like a princess. She didn't flinch, though. She just leant on the windowsill, her chin on her hand, and stared. Her eyes like sapphires, her hair a vivid red, and a little Mona Lisa smile on her face. She just stared at me. She wasn't scared, she just stared. We held each other's eyes for what felt like years, and then she just sank back into the room and closed the window. I never heard or saw of her again. I didn't even get to kill her. It was kind of weird. And then suddenly the sun was up, playtime was over. Now I just had to disappear. Thanks for listening. I'm going to carry on this story. I'm going to get out of London and I'm going to go somewhere special. So the next stories will be about that. I've escaped. Hope you're in London. If you are, hope to see you soon. Bye.